Hey, what is going on, guys? It's DK. Back at you with another video here. I was rating the showdown slate between the Lakers and the Rockets. Before I get into the video, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's DK. I make daily videos breaking down NBA, NFL, PGA, and esports, daily fantasy sports slates. Real quick, before I get into analysis, I do want to say thank you guys again for all support. Currently, right now, 4.75 thousand subscribers. The easiest way to support me, since all the content is free, is just leave a like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I go, when I upload videos, you know when I go live. Also, if you cannot watch YouTube videos, I do upload an Apple Podcast. The link is in the description below. If you guys are interested in NFL content, I do have an early look video as well as more in-depth videos of the running backs and wide receivers for Week 1 on Draftkings. And I have a showdown video, or my video up for the showdown slate between the Chiefs and Texans, which start tomorrow. I will have my final look up in the next day or so be on the lookout for that. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the video. So before we get into players and the prices for the showdown slate, let's quickly look back at my lineup from Wednesday. And guys, I am tilting so hard, man. I have stacked the Celtics Raptors game every single slate besides this one. It's the one time I got off. I've literally played Lowry, Van Fleet, OG, Tice, and Tatum every single slate. This is the one slate I hopped off. Game goes to double overtime. Everyone smashes. That's how NBA DFS goes. It's going to be tough to sleep tonight because that's just so typical, guys. But yeah, Van Fleet, Tatum were obviously amazing because of the double overtime, but only had 3 players in that first game. Gasol didn't play at all. His minutes went way down. He didn't come in the fourth. They went small ball with Powell in there. And of course, I finally get exposure to this Clippers-Denver game. I've literally been fading it every single slate, just going the full game stack. Finally stack it. It's going to be a blowout and one of the lowest scoring games probably the lowest scoring game of the series. So, it really, really sucks. But like I always say, guys, the good thing about DFS is there's always tomorrow. And I mention it, but the 2-game slates, showdown slates, super high variance, don't play a lot of money, right? Kind of got to be, wait till next year for NBA if you only play NBA. We got NFL upcoming, right? Play the big money on the big slates like NFL, NBA. On these smaller slates, like, you can play, like, I play a little bit, but not a lot, right? They're just super, super high variance. Stuff like this can happen, or game goes to double overtime and you get screwed, but yeah, I am super, super tilted. If you guys stacked the first game, you probably won huge money. I know, Paulie, you've been absolutely killing it. Congrats, man. I'm curious to see how you finish tonight. But yeah, enough of that. I don't even want to look at that anymore. Let's talk about the showdown slate, right? So this is a game that I feel pretty good about. I wish the Bucks won because I love this 2-game slate with the Rockets and Lakers on it compared to this 2-game slate tonight. Rockets, Lakers, it's a 220.5 over under. Lakers are 5-point favorites. So this is a little bit different because obviously we have the captain now that we got to talk about. So let's go team by team, and then I'll get to captain plays at the end to kind of give a little bit of roster construction where kind of I'm looking. So start with the Lakers. LeBron and AD are the 2 highest priced players, obviously, right? They completely carry this roster. They're going to play about 40 minutes a night as long as there's no foul trouble or blowout. LeBron and AD are the top 2 spend-ups once again for me. If you're going to make me pick, it's going to be Anthony Davis, but I do think you play both. I think there's enough value you play both the Lakers studs. So that's really what I got. Not a lot of downside to say. I think they're the safest spend-ups compared to Harden and Westbrook. I think they just have a little more upside right now. So it's going to be LeBron. It's going to be AD. Those are the 2 I'm prioritizing for the spend-ups. Kuzma's at 5'4". It's interesting because they're playing small ball, so you would figure that Kuzma would get more minutes. He's not. He's playing like 21 to 24 minutes, right? That's what he's played the last couple of games. So it's really, really interesting. I would assume he would be a guy playing 30 plus minutes, but right now the Lakers are comfortable giving minutes to Rondo, Caruso, Markieff Morris is getting runs. So at 5'4", like sure he's playable, but he doesn't stand out as an amazing play for his price. Yeah, Rondo is a guy that I'll be playing again at 5'2". I think he's one of the better plays. I know he's been playing really well, but it's playoff Rondo, and he's going to play about 30 minutes. What I love about Rondo is he doesn't have to score to get you there. He doesn't. Like he'll get you. He has the floor of the assists. He's having the ball in his hands so much when he's out there, and then when he does score, like we saw last game, the upside is really high. So Rondo at this price point, I think of the guys around him, he probably looks like the best play. I know the price came up, but I'll probably once again play Rondo. I think he looks really, really good. Like I 100% prefer Rondo to Danny Green. Definitely prefer him to Caruso, right? Because Green's a guy that, sure, he can outscore Rondo, but he has to hit his threes. If not, the floor is super, super low, like we saw last game. He shot about 1 of 5, only had 13 fancy points. I just feel a lot more comfortable with Rondo. Not saying Green's out of play. He's playable, but just know what you get into, right? He literally has to hit his threes. Caruso's at 4K. I just don't think I'm going to do it because when he's out there, before when Rondo was injured, he had value because he was running the point a lot. Like he had the ball in his hands a lot. When he's out there now, he's running the off guard. He's not a great shooter, so in my opinion, this doesn't make sense to get to Caruso. The only way I get to him is if something happens to Rondo. But yeah, I'm going to be avoiding Caruso at that price. He's just not valuable when he's running the off guard. Dwight Howard is not playing in this series, so do not play Dwight Howard. KCP's playable at 3.6. I probably prefer him to Danny Green for the savings. You're going to make me pick one of those guys just because he's, $1,000 cheaper. They're both almost identical players, right? They're 3-and-D guys. They have to hit the threes. The floor is super, super low. So, again, playable. He can get hot, right? Like, if he gets hot, he probably has upside like 25 fancy points. So, that's it with KCP. Markieff Morris at 3.2. I actually think he's playable for the reason of they're phasing out JaVale McGee. McGee played 7 minutes last game? 7 minutes. So Markieff Morris is a guy that's benefiting from that. Running more small ball. He's played 23 and 23 minutes in back-to-back games, which is good to see. The price point's fair. He had a bad shooting day, shot about 1 of 6. Still put up 11 fancy points. That's actually not terrible for a guy this cheap. So Morris is a guy that if you really need a cheap guy, I don't hate him. I think he's certainly playable. With him, KCP, pretty similar plays, right? Those two guys for value that you can definitely consider. I'm not going to play McGee. He's basically getting phased out, not playing the minutes. So I'm not playing McGee. And that's it. J.R. Smith played a few minutes, but not enough, obviously, to consider. Dion Waiters did play, but he's doubtful now, and he was only playing a few minutes. And that's really it. So that's my thoughts on the Lakers. Let's talk about Houston now. Harden's at 12-4. Right now, he's a contrarian option. Not saying he's out of play at all, but I prefer both Lakers stars again. Harden really hasn't had the upside, and it's a tougher spot here against the Lakers, who are good defensively, where he's at 51, 43, and 58 fancy points. They're doubling him at times, too, to get the ball out of his hands. So, Harden's in play for sure, but if you're going for the optimal build, I don't think he's in it. I think it's the two Lakers guys. So, I like Harden for the fact of he's going to be lower owned, but for a single entry lineup guy like myself, I'm probably not going to get him. Westbrook, he looks better to me. He's been a little bit up and down, right? He had a really bad game too, went for 34 fantasy points. Bounced back in a big way. They went for 54. He is more playable than Harden. Obviously, Harden has more upside, but you're getting a $2,500 discount. So right now, I prefer Westbrook for his price. Now, sure, again, he's a little bit shakier, but I think he looks a little bit better for his price than Harden does. Then we get to this tricky range of the Rockets. Roko's at 7-4. I'm probably just not going to do it. He's going to be low owned. He's going to play. He kind of had that scary fall where he missed the last few minutes. The minutes will be there on him, but I don't know if the upside's there. Like, he really has to get hot behind the three-point line. It has to have a game where he has, like, 3 steals, 3 blocks. It doesn't make sense for me to prioritize Rocco at that price. Gordon, I could see getting to, because the upside is, like, 35 plus, but finally we saw that floor game. I've been talking about that literally every single video with Gordon, because I said, like, a floor of like 15 fantasy points. Went for 19 in 36 minutes. The floor is low if he's not shooting the ball well. So, yeah, Gordon's playable in the mid-range, but, again, I don't know if I'm going to prioritize him either. PJ Tucker's at 5'8", and 8 fantasy points last game. The floor is low on him. Another guy that's playable. He'll play 35-plus minutes. Like, if I was going to play one of these guys in the mid-range, sort of Covington, Gordon, Tucker, I would rather just take the shot on Gordon, because he's obviously the best offensive player, and I think he has the most upside. Now, we have Daniel House out again. So this is actually big news. Like, he was a guy playing 20 to 25 minutes. Those minutes have to go somewhere. Well, the last game, it went mostly to Jeff Green at 4-6. He played 35 minutes. So if we get over 30 minutes from Jeff Green, I think he looks like one of the better value plays in the slate. Now, will we get that again? I don't know if it's necessarily secure, right? That could give a few more minutes to Rivers, maybe a few more minutes to McLemore, but it's good that he played 35 minutes. So Jeff Green's a guy that I'm definitely looking to for value here. And then we get to the dart throws here. So, yeah, Rivers at 2-2, played 11 minutes. I mean, I get, like, there is a way where if he comes off the bench and, like, nails a couple threes, maybe they extend him a bit and limit the minutes a bit on Jeff Green. Like, I could see Rivers getting, like, 15 to 20 minutes. So he's at least in play, but a super, super risky play. And kind of the same thing with McLemore, right? He came off the bench, played 10 minutes. I thought him and Rivers would play a few extra with no House, but basically all those minutes went to Jeff Green. So another guy that is at a flat minimum price, playable, right? If he comes off the bench and hits a couple threes, I could see Mike D'Antoni leaving him out there for a little longer, maybe 15 to 20 minutes. I think that's probably the ceiling of minutes for McLemore and Rivers, unless we get foul trouble, is probably 15 to 20 minutes. So both those guys are worth dart throws. Nothing I can really recommend with confidence. And that's really it. So let's talk about roster construction now. Well, we have, if we plug in the top 4 guys in the utility, LeBron, Harden, AD, Westbrook, basically impossible to make a lineup, right? Because you still have to play someone in the captain spot. Like, the cheapest possible play, in my opinion, is McLemore, right? So if you throw him in the captain spot, that's 1.7K remaining. You don't even have anyone else playable. So this lineup is basically, you can't do it. And let's say we throw one of the Lakers stars in there. So we say, I don't know, LeBron in the captain spot. And again, I mentioned I want to play both LeBron and AD. You don't have to, but that's the direction that I'm going to. Let's go to Anthony Davis. And then 4.8K remaining. So, yeah, that gets a little bit tricky, right? Because probably can't get Westbrook in there too. 3K, you maybe can, right? But then you'd have to play either Rivers or McLemore if you're going to do that. So that makes it a little bit tricky. Like, if you throw Anthony Davis in the captain spot, basically the same thing. You probably have a few extra dollars, but you go with those two plus Westbrook. Again, 3.2K remaining. Like, you have KCP, Markieff Morris, but you would have to play like Rivers or McLemore there. So that makes it harder to get to. I think what an optimal build is going to be, using one of those cheaper guys. So could we throw Westbrook in there? Let's see if we throw Westbrook in there. Westbrook and the 2 Lakers stars with LeBron and AD. 3.5K remaining. Again, not really enough to get to something confidently. So I think the optimal build right now is play someone in the mid-range, or like the cheaper options. Who are guys that I would consider? I think a guy like Eric Gordon, I know he's a little bit more expensive, but he's a guy that can have that upside, right? Rajon Rondo, certainly considering him. I think he's one of the better plays. Jeff Green, with no Daniel House, if we get close to 35 minutes, I think he looks really good. Like Green, KCP are viable punts. They just have to hit their threes. Yeah, you can consider Markieff Morris too. Like he's a viable play too. But I think like going like in that direction is probably the optimal way. So that's how I'm probably going to attack the slate. I'm going to use one of those cheaper guys in the captain spot and then jam in AD, jam in LeBron as well, and then kind of see how it goes from there. But I think that's going to wrap it up for the video today, guys. So if you have been enjoying the content so far, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like button on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell. Also, let me know, do you guys want me to stream for this? It's only a showdown slate. I can. Probably wouldn't be a super long stream. Maybe I'll hop on for like 20 minutes or so. Let me know. If you guys want me to do that, I can. Also, I'll probably be streaming for the showdown slate for Houston and KC too. So I guess 2 showdown slates tomorrow. But yeah, let me know, guys. But yeah, thanks again, guys. I hope you guys all have a good night, and I will see you guys tomorrow.